Of the economy was comprehensive, but his view of what constituted productive activities was exceptionally narrow. His contemporary, A.R.J. Turgot, saw wealth as coming solely from land, but saw usefulness in artisans who prepared the materials produced by cultivators. Landowners remained a disposable class who merely collected rents, though Turgot acknowledged that members of the disposable class may offer services, such as the administration of justice or assisting in war efforts, that respond to the general needs of society. The approach of the physiocrats complemented the land theory of value of their Irish-born contemporary, Richard Cantillon. Cantillon was briefly a successful speculator in France, and later published one of the great early works of economic theory, Essai sur la nature du commerce en général. It is one of the few texts that spans both the objective and subjective schools of value. With respect to the former, Cantillon began with a labor and land theory of value like Petty, but then reduced the determinants of intrinsic value to land by assuming constant returns to scale and equating the value of a laborer with that of twice the produce of the land they consume.
MarkCarney says authoritarianism is on the rise, and I can't help but think, is he talking about himself? And are you guys ready to have boots on the ground across the sea for a battle? Yeah, me either. Welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie B. This is where we debrief and discuss politics and pop culture from an independent perspective. So if that interests you, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share my podcast because it helps me get out there in Commie Canada. Let's get into it. Okay, we're going to listen to this.
Disarmament and elimination of Hamas as a force, certainly as a political force, military force first, and political force, is one of the conditions for a sustained cessation of hostilities and peace. And when you say who is going to do that, there are many proposals, as I suspect you're aware, from a variety of Arab states, combination of Arab states and European states, to which Canada would be party if they were to come to pass, for multinational forces to be.
Yeah, so, and in the words of Fall Out Boy, is this more than we bargained for yet? Is this more than we bargained for yet, guys? Because instead of hiring someone that was going to get a really good trade deal for Canada with America and stand up to Trump and get all of these things done, has yet to do anything other than offer our sons and daughters to be boots on the ground in a foreign country's war. Now, I would like to ask, number one, are all of those protesters going to be volunteering their services to go across the sea? Are they? I'm just wondering, because I doubt that they are. Okay? And I just want to say that the more that the Liberals continue to ignore Canadians, the more crime happens, and they see that the Conservatives have put forth bills to, bring a little bit of peace and safety back to our streets, okay, and justice, I would say. And, the more that we are affected by these things, the more people are going to wake up, especially because this continues to happen in more than just Toronto. I remember 1 year looking up the amount of shootings that they had in Toronto that year, and it was like February, and there was one. And I couldn't believe it. I remember specifically looking at my laptop, looking that up, and I can't remember what year it was. It could have been 2008 or 2009. I don't remember. And I just can't imagine a time where we're going to look in the future and see the state of Canada. I would also like to say that when it comes to authoritarianism, okay, and MarkCarney, it's funny because MarkCarney seems to want to actually partake in authoritarianism, okay? Forcing our markets to be a certain way because you claim to be environmentally friendly or green or anything like that is just a joke. It's a sick joke, okay? And you're taking it out on Canadians. What's going to happen when we don't have enough energy to supply to Canada? Like, what's going to happen when we bring over so many people that we have no energy, not enough energy? Our infrastructures in every single city are going to collapse. Okay, we've already started to see that. So I'm just wondering, guys, where isn't MarkCarney being authoritarian? Okay, how is it not authoritarian to decide what our markets are going to partake in and what they're not going to partake in? We don't live in some small European country. We live in what, the second largest mass in the world? You know, we might not have housing on a lot of our land, but that's still considered to be Canada, okay? It amazes me because we have so many places that you don't see a house on that are rich in minerals that we're not exporting because we're too good to even touch Canada. For some reason, MarkCarney will have investments in Brazil where they use slave labor. Okay, a pipeline is completely okay in Brazil, according to MarkCarney, but somehow not okay in Canada. And this was something PierrePoilievre grilled him on. Okay, I believe in 2020. I also got to say that I finally learned why we weren't calling the P word an official state, and it's because we don't call states that are ran by terrorist groups official states. So, and I want you guys to understand something, that is not a very clear message that anybody paints, okay? Because I had no idea why. And I would like to say that I'm on, I'm in the middle of things, but I'm more right-leaning, and I still had no idea that that's why that place didn't have statehood when it came to Canada, okay? Now, let's talk about that clip that I shared in the beginning, because that's from MarkCarney's book. Yeah, that's from MarkCarney's book. And I even asked AI, I know that sounds silly, but I asked AI and said, hey, does he mean that he approves of this? In what regards is he saying this because of? And honestly, in my opinion, and I do believe AI's opinion, because AI was like, well, he didn't exactly denounce it. He didn't exactly endorse it, but he put it in his book and didn't denounce it. What do we think that means? And you know what, you guys, I want to hear from you guys. You listen to that first clip and you let me know what you think MarkCarney meant by that. He's quoting somebody, but do you guys think that if it's quoted and it's in his book that he thinks that way? I believe that he looks at us like we are essentially non-human. Like we are only good for certain things to these elitist people. And that is quite clearly said in the beginning of this video from MarkCarney's books. And if you notice, the front of it is him building, like it's a structure around the world as if he is creating the values to rebuild the earth. So if you guys really want to know what his plans are, and it seems like they're doubling down, Trump can say one thing, but it seems like they're doubling down with the EU and Australia, okay, on all of these green initiatives, BS nonsense that in 20 years we'll be like, well, we already know this, but oh my gosh, it turns out that this is significantly worse for the environment. Yeah, you don't say. And by the way, while I recognize that PierrePoilievre would have had to go to the United Nations, I would have appreciated PierrePoilievre working through the summer like he said he wanted to do and was going to do. Like, it seems like the Liberals have got in, changed nothing about what they wanted to do. And by the way, that guy says, oh, I don't have the support of Quebec if I don't cancel the gun grab. You would have the support of the Conservatives, so put a bill forth and stop the pew-pew grab. Because when it comes to authoritarianism, I'm pretty sure one of the first steps is taking away your ability to defend yourself, right? And everybody loves to quote Charlie Kirk incorrectly, but the man said he believed in the Second Amendment right to be able to, have them because he wanted to be able to defend himself from a tyrannical government. That's like part of every stage of not great things like communism. Like, Hello? I don't understand how, and now the whole hate speech thing, how the left can say this about Trump because of Trump's hate speech and all of these different things. Jimmy Kimmel getting fired. They can cry about things like that. Okay, but they don't see the irony in the fact that the liberals are doing this here. We can't even see news on social media. And do you think they care? No, they make excuses over and over and over again for the lack of freedom that we have in this country. Okay? And then we have this ostrich farm where basically the government's coming in because they tested a year plus ago 2 unalived birds and they happen to have the avian flu. They did test on the other animals, came back negative, I believe. And then after that, they said, no, we don't care. And now they're trying to call them. Now, I will tell you that that's not how this story is told on CBC. How do I know? Because they talked about it. I think it was a while ago. It was like earlier this year, I think, on one of the radio stations that was on in a local store. And just the way that they describe it was like, all of these birds definitely had avian flu. That's what they say. All of these birds had avian flu. They won't let us, unalive them. And, to save other people's lives, this is what we need to do. That is the type of reporting that I have heard from my own radio stations on this. And it's just so concerning because, people are like, jumping the gun and saying, oh, this could happen to communities, which, I don't know, during the Panini Press, they did a lot of messed up things for us to not even have to compare it to that. But imagine they do this to even bigger things like food supply. Yeah, they tell a farmer, oh, sorry, this is testing positive. Now you need to get rid of every single one of them. You're not allowed to do second testing. You're not allowed to inquire it yourself. The government just has full say that they can come and do that. Now, what happens when Canada's supplies of things are already going down, right? Like, this is a symptom of a bigger sickness that is authoritarianism in Canada. Wondering why people care about it? Because this is giving, we don't care what you say. Even if there's other ulterior motives, you'll never figure it out. We're not doing second testing. We're just going to do the unthinkable and unalive 400 ostriches. And I would like to say that there is this person named Matt Hugh, and he would come into the lives and say, those birds were lab rats. I'm sorry, do you care? How about you head to Marineland right now and tell me if the government cares about animals that are being abused. Let me know. Because I'm not sure that Marineland, if you guys know this, but Marineland's been able to, allegedly, I seen with my own damn eyes, abuse animals for years and years on end, and nobody does anything about it. But all of a sudden, these people who have all of the time in the world, you guys know how I'm here, okay? And you know how people on YouTube are here because YouTube, pays decent amounts, but I don't know how you're able to sit on TikTok for hours and hours a day if you're not getting paid. Anyways, and Matt here, if you're watching, no shade. Well, actually probably some shade, okay? Because I don't know how you've been able to sit on TikTok for the last 3 years. Do you really get that many donations? I don't know. People are also really upset about PierrePoilievre not commenting on this. Now, I will say that there was so much counter information that I didn't really know if I was going to report on it too. And then when somebody kind of made it clear, when I saw that comment from Matt Hugh, I was like, oh, is that what you guys are saying that makes these birds deserve to be unalive? Because to me, everyone saying that is full of baloney because they better get their butts to Marineland and help save those animals. Anyways, I would also like to ask too, do you guys on the left trust Canadian troops to go in there and bring peace to that state? Do you? Because that's exactly what Trump said he was going to do. And that made a lot of people angry. So I'm just wondering, would you guys trust MarkCarney? Anyways, my head is kind of in a fog, okay? Maybe I need to do an ice dip. Yeah, maybe I need to do an ice dip. Some weeks, and I know why, are a little bit harder than others. Ever since the you-know-what, okay? And I also need glasses. Yeah, that's how unaffordable life is in Canada, by the way, that even though we have benefits that would allow me to get the glasses, forking out that money up front is so insane that I've gone a couple of years now without my glasses. So I get really bad headaches sometimes doing videos. And I also wanted to say that some of your stuff that you guys say to me is being censored, and I'm not the one doing it, okay? I'm trying to figure out how to see those. I don't understand why I can't see. It'll say like, oh, you have 8 comments. I go to the comments. I literally can't see a single one. You guys had sent me some super thanks, and I want to say a big thank you to you guys who sent me super thanks. I didn't even see them until the next day because YouTube is very silly and tricky sometimes, and I'm also a boomer when it comes to these things. It took me so long to figure out TikTok. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Would you guys be willing to go and have boots on the ground? Now, this is the chance for boots on the ground, okay, to put his money where his mouth is and get his boots on the ground, right? Am I right? No? Let me know what you guys think. I want to talk about what MarkCarney said in his book, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!